welcome to my channel. So before we start this video, I would really appreciate it if you can help subscribe to this channel, which can help me grow. Thanks a lot. So let's get started. So in this video, I'm going to cover the solution for this specific problem, and at the same time, I'm going to briefly go through the steps we should follow in a real coding interview. So let's get started. So in a real coding interview, the first step is always try to understand the question. If you have anything unclear, please bring out the question to the interviewer. So don't be shy, and also at the same time, think about the edge cases. So let's first read through this problem. So say you have an array of which the ith element is the price of a given stock on day I. So design an algorithm to find the maximum profit, and you may complete at most 2 transactions. So you may not engage in multiple transactions at the same day, which means you cannot hold more than 1 stock in a given day. So let's say the price is something like this. The output is 6 because we can buy on day 4, which is here, and sell on day 6, which we will get 3 as a gain. And then we buy on day 7 and sell on day 8. Okay, so I think I pretty much understand it. Let's go through the constraints. It says that the length of the prices array is never going to be empty, so it is between 1 to 800k. So the price for each day is between 0 to 800k. So I don't think there is too much space for us to consider the edge cases. So the next step is about finding a solution. So in this part, you're going to discuss the idea to solve this problem with the interviewer and do some necessary runtime space analysis. Before proceeding to the next step, you should get an agreement with the interviewer. So the next step, after you get an agreement about the solution, it is about doing some coding work. So for coding, care about your correctness, your readability, and also don't be too slow. So let's go through the solution and get this piece of code together. So the solution is we are going to define 4 different variables. So the first one is so the first 2 variables are for the first transaction, and the last 2 variables are for the second transaction. So for this one, it is minimum cost for the transaction, which means the minimum cost to buy the first stock, and this variable is the maximum profit we could get from the first transaction. And the second this one, the mean transaction cost 2, means the minimum cost to buy a stock in transaction 2. So what it makes it different from mean transaction cost 1 is suppose we have some profit we make from the first transaction, then we can apply the profit from the transaction to buy the second stock. So that's the difference between mean transaction cost 2 with mean transaction cost 1. And this one, maximum transaction profit 2, is how much of the what is the maximum profit we could get from the second transaction. So we simply go through the prices array. So we compute the minimum transaction cost, which is the minimum within the subarray from the beginning to the current position. And the maximum transaction profit, of course, it is so there are 2 options. If we sell the stock on today, if we sell the stock on today, which was bought from the minimum on the day that has a minimum transaction cost 1, then if we can get a higher profit, then we set the max transaction profit 1 as price, the current day price minus the minimum transaction cost 1. Otherwise, we just stay at the same. And then we compute the minimum transaction cost 2, which is the minimum between the minimum transaction cost 2 or if we just buy the stock on the current day with the consideration of the profit we have achieved from the transaction 1. And then we compute the maximum transaction profit for the second transaction the similar way as the first transaction. And finally, we just need to return maximum transaction profit 2 because that's the profit we get from the two transactions together. So the runtime is going to be all of n is the length of the prices input array. And after you're done with coding, please don't forget to do some testing. If it's a runnable platform, please set up some test cases to run through it. Otherwise, you may need to go through the test cases manually to explain how this piece of code is going to work. And also do some sanity check, fix some bugs within the code. So that's it for this coding question. If you have any question, feel free to leave some comments below. So if you like this video, please help subscribe this channel. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.